guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Simran Sahni and today I will teach you political science. So in my last videos I taught you chapter 1, the Cold War era, and in this video we will be doing the question answers of this chapter. So let's start the question answers. The first question from this chapter is, what is the Cuban Missile Crisis? Answer follows. In April 1961, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic (USSR) were worried that America would invade communist-ruled Cuba, a small island nation near the coastline of United States, and overthrow Fidel Castro, the president of small island nation. Cuba received both economic and diplomatic aids from USSR. The president of USSR, Nikita Khrushchev, decided to convert Cuba in a military base. He placed nuclear weapons and bombs in Cuba. For the first time, Americans on a close fire range from USSR and nearly doubled the number of the states that could be threatened by the USSR. The question is, who came to know about it? About what? About the Cuban Missile Crisis. 3 weeks after the missiles were installed, Americans came to know about it. American President John F. Kennedy and his advisors was reluctant to do anything that might lead to full-fledged war. They were determined to get Khrushchev to remove the missiles and weapons from Cuba. A clash seemed imminent in what came to be known as the Cuban Missile Crisis. To the world's greatest relief, both sides decided to avoid war and Soviet ships slowed down and turned back. So there are 4 points of this answer, that is, who came to know about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now question number 3. The Cuban Missile Crisis was a high point in the world politics. Explain. The Cuban Missile Crisis was a high point in what came to be known as the Cold War. This question simply means what was the Cold War, but in a different language. The Cold War was referred to tensions or a serious confrontation and competition between the two countries, USA and USSR, backed by their respective allies. However, fortunately, it never escalated into a full-scale or hot war. There were wars in various regions with the two powers and their allies supporting and involved in warfare, but at least the world avoided another global war. The Cold War was not only related to power, rivalry, military alliances, or a balance of power. It was related to a real ideological conflict as well as difference over the best and the most appropriate of organizing economic and political order, social life all over the world. Western alliances headed by the US was liberal and followed the capitalistic economy, whereas the Eastern alliances headed by the Warsaw Pact, that is Soviet Union, was committed to the ideology of socialism and communism. It means that at the time of Cold War between our two superpowers, military alliances and balance of powers was important, but at the same time there was an ideological conflict, and वो दो ideologies कौन सी थी हमारी, communism and capitalism. USA used to say that capitalistic economy is better, and जो हमारा Soviet Union था वो कहता था कि socialism and communism is better. So this was the ideological conflict between the two superpowers that led to the Cold War. Question number 4. What is the Cold War? And there is another language of this question. The end of the Second World War is a landmark in contemporary world politics. Answer. In the 1945, the Allied forces led by the US, USSR, Britain and France defeated the Axis power led by the Germany, Italy and Japan. The war had involved almost all the parts of the world, including Europe, Southeast Asia, China, Burma and parts of India's northeast. The war had devastated the world in terms of loss of human life and civilian property. The First World War had earlier shaken the world in 1914 to 1918. The end of the Second World War was the beginning of the Cold War. The war ended where the United States of America dropped 2 atomic bombs on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. The critics of the US action say that US knew that Japan was about to surrender, and the dropping of the nuclear bomb was intended to stop Russia from making economic and political gains in Asia and show Moscow that US was the supreme. whereas the supporters of US action agree that dropping of bombs was necessary to stop the war and save the lives of American and Allied soldiers. So with this we completed question number 4. Question number 5. What are the consequences of the Second World War? The end of the Second World War was the rise of the two new superpowers on the global stage with the defeat of the Axis power Germany, Italy and Japan. The United States and the Soviet Union became the superpower with the ability to influence almost every event anywhere in the world. While the Cold War was an outcome of the emergence of USA and USSR as two superpowers, it was also rooted that destruction caused by the atom bombs is very costly for any one country to bear. This logic is simple yet powerful. When two rival powers are in possession of nuclear weapons capable of inflicting death and destruction to an unexpected level to each other, a full-fledged war is unlikely to happen. So in this we read that Second World War ended when USA dropped two bombs on Japan, and after this end of the Second World War, two superpowers emerged on the global stage, that was United States and Soviet Union, and between them the Cold War began. Both United States and the Soviet Union was having nuclear weapons, therefore war was unlikely to happen between the two superpowers. Now we ended the fifth question, and the question number 6 is what constrains the superpower to go for a full-scale war or a nuclear war? This question simply means that we have to explain the logic of deterrence. What is the logic of deterrence? The logic is simple yet powerful. When two rival powers have nuclear possession capable of inflicting death and destruction to an unacceptable level, a full-fledged war is unlikely to happen. In the event of nuclear war, both the sides will be so badly harmed that it would be impossible to declare one side or the other as the winner. Even if one tries to attack and destroy nuclear weapons, the other rival power would still be left with enough weapons to inflict unacceptable destruction. This is called the logic of deterrence. Both sides have a capacity to retaliate, attack, and cause destruction that no one can afford to initiate war. Thus, the Cold War, in spite of being an intense form of rivalry between the two superpowers, did not escalate it into another shooting war or a hot war. The deterrence prevents war but between the superpowers, not rivalry. So in this answer we explain what was the logic of deterrence. Question number 8. What were the main military features of the Cold War? When the two superpowers are in deterrence relationship, there are certain features. The two superpowers and the rival blocs led by them are expected to behave as rational and responsible actors. When the two superpowers and their rival blocs are in a deterrence, fighting war will be destructive. Responsibility therefore meant being restrained and avoiding the risk of another world war. In the sense, Cold War managed to ensure the survival. So these were the 3 points of the question. What were the main military features of the Cold War? Now, question number 9. Why did the superpowers had their military alliance with small countries? The two superpowers were keen on expanding their area of influence in different parts. The world was sharply divided between the two alliance systems. A state was supposed to remain aligned to its protective superpower to limit influence of the other superpower and its allies. The alliance system led by the two superpowers therefore threatened to divide the entire world into camps. This happened in Europe. Most of the countries of Eastern Europe joined the Soviet Union and the Western Europe joined USA. The Western Alliance formalized into a North Atlantic Treaty Organization (NATO), which came into existence in 1949. It was an association of 12 states which declared that an armed attack on any one of them in Europe, in America, would be regarded as an attack on all of them. Each one of them were obliged to help each other. Now the Eastern Alliance. The Eastern Alliance formed the Warsaw Pact came into existence in 1955 was led by the Soviet Union, and its principal function was to counter NATO's forces in Europe. The international alliance in the Cold War era were determined by the requirement of the superpowers and the calculation of the smaller states. Now we have completed our question number 9 जो था why did the superpowers have their military alliances with smaller countries, in which we studied about the NATO, Warsaw Pact, and what happened in the Europe. The international alliances in the Cold War era were determined by the requirements of superpower and the calculation of the smaller states. Explain. In this question we have to explain that international alliances को किस चीज़ से डिटरमाइन किया जाता था एंड वो क्या थे स्मॉलर स्टेट्स. जितनी ज़्यादा स्मॉलर स्टेट होती थी उतना ही बेटर होता था सुपर पावर के अलाइंसेस के लिए. Answer begins from here. Europe became the main arena of conflict between the two superpowers. In some cases, superpowers used their military power to keep the countries into their respective allies. The Soviet Union used its influence on Eastern Europe, backed by the very large number of armies in these regions, to ensure that Eastern Europe remained under the influence of Soviet Union. In East and Southeast Asia and West Asia, the United States built alliance system called Southeast Asian Treaty Organization, that is SEATO, and Central Treaty Organization, that is CENTO. These are two important organizations, SEATO and CENTO. SEATO is Southeast Asian Treaty Organization and CENTO is Central Treaty Organization. Soviet Union and Communist China responded by having close relations with countries like Vietnam, North Korea and Iraq. क्वेश्चन नंबर 11 एंड ये स्टार्ट होता है हमारी एनसीईआरटी की लाइन से जो हमारे बुक का एक पैराग्राफ है. द न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स एंड रेगुलर armies, they were so powerful that the combined forces of most of the states of the Africa and Asia and even in Europe was no match to that of the superpowers. Yet the smaller states were helpful for the superpower in gaining access. How? इस क्वेश्चन का मतलब ये है कि जो सुपर पावर्स थी उनकी जो आर्मी थी, मिलिट्री थी, वो इतनी पावरफुल थी कि अफ्रीका एंड एशिया एंड यूरोप की काफ़ी सारी कंट्रीज़ भी अगर मिल जाएं तो उनको उनका कंपैरिजन नहीं कर सकती थी. बट फिर भी जो हमारी सुपर पावर्स थी वो स्मॉलर स्टेट्स में इंटरेस्टेड क्यों थी? उनको क्या बेनिफिट मिलता था? किनको सुपर पावर्स को स्मॉलर स्टेट्स से क्यों अपने अलाइंसेज में लेने से क्या बेनिफिट मिलता था? इसका आंसर है vital resources such as oil and minerals, territory from where the superpowers can launch their weapons and troops, locations from where they could spy on. Economic support in that many small allies together could help pay for military expenses. They were also important for ideological reason. The loyalty of the allies suggested that the superpowers are winning the war of ideas also. I have explained you all these 4 points in my explanation video, and अगर आपको किसी भी क्वेश्चन में कोई भी प्रॉब्लम आ रही है बिकॉज आई एम रीडिंग द आंसर्स ओनली, तो आप एक्सप्लेनेशन वीडियो में चेक कर सकते हो. मैंने एक एक टॉपिक को थरोली एक्सप्लेन करा है. सो इफ़ देयर इज़ एनी प्रॉब्लम इन एनी क्वेश्चन सो यू कैन चेक इट फ्रॉम द एक्सप्लेनेशन वीडियोज़. Now question number 12. Sometimes it is said Cold War is simply a struggle for power and that ideology had nothing to do with it. Do you agree with this? Give one reason to support your answer. The Cold War threatened to divide the world into two alliance systems. Under these circumstances, the newly independent nations who have gained their independence from colonial powers such as Britain and France were worried that they would lose freedom as soon as they gained formal independence. Cracks and splits in alliances were quickly to appear. Communist China quarreled with USSR over the late 1950s and 1960s. They fought a brief war over a territorial dispute. The other important development was NAM, which the newly independent states to stay out of the alliances. The ideologies were important reason. The loyalties of the respective alliance suggested that which is the better, liberal and capitalistic economy or social and communism. इस क्वेश्चन में हमसे पूछा गया था कि आइडियोलॉजीज इम्पोर्टेंट रीज़न थी या नहीं थी कोल्ड वॉर के टाइम पे. तो हमने 4 पॉइंट में एक्सप्लेन किया है कि हाँ आइडियोलॉजीज इम्पोर्टेंट थी कोल्ड वॉर के टाइम पे आइडियोलॉजीज भी मैटर करती थी. एंड इन द लास्ट पॉइंट वी हैव एक्सप्लेन दैट आइडियोलॉजीज वर इंपॉर्टेंट रीजन बिकॉज जितने ज़्यादा अलाइंसेस जिस आइडियोलॉजी को फॉलो करेंगे उसका मतलब होगा वो आइडियोलॉजी बेटर होगी. जैसे कि लिबरल एंड कैपिटलिस्टिक डेमोक्रेसी के अलाइंसेस ज़्यादा होंगे, ज़्यादा कंट्रीज इस आइडियोलॉजी को फॉलो करेगी तो ये बेटर. एंड अगर ज़्यादा कंट्रीज सोशल एंड कम्युनिज्म को फॉलो करेगी तो सोशलिज्म एंड कम्युनिज्म बेटर होगी. सो इन दिस आंसर हम लोगों ने ये बताया है कि येस आइडियोलॉजीज वर ऑल्सो इम्पॉर्टेंट. टू स्टार्ट विद अ लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन आंसर्स. इस चैप्टर में 2 लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन आंसर्स हैं हमारे अरेनाज ऑफ कोल्ड वॉर से. मेंशन एंड डिस्कस द अरेनाज ऑफ द कोल्ड वॉर. So let's start it. The Cold War also led to several shooting wars, but it is important to note that these crises or war did not lead to another world war. The two superpowers were poised for direct confrontations between many countries: Korea 1950 to 1953, Berlin 1958 to 62, Congo 1960s, and in several other areas. Second point, crisis deepened as neither of the parties involved was ready to back down. When we talk about the arenas of the Cold War, we refer to the areas where crisis and war occurred or threatened to occur between the alliance system but did not cross certain limits. A great many lives were lost in the arenas like Korea, Afghanistan, and Congo, but the world spared a nuclear war and global hostilities. In some cases, huge military build-ups were reported. In many cases, diplomats' communications between the superpower could not be sustained and led to the misunderstandings. The countries outside the two blocs, for example India, the non-aligned countries, played a crucial role in reducing Cold War conflicts and averting some grave crises. Jawaharlal Nehru, one of the key leaders of the NAM, played a crucial role in negotiating between the two powers. It was the realization on the part of the superpowers that war in any case should be avoided that made them exercise restraints and behave more responsibly in international affairs. As the Cold War rolled from one arena to another, the logic of restraint was increasingly. Number 14, it is also the long question answer. The Cold War produced an arms race as well as arms control. What were the reasons for the development for both these developments? Since the Cold War did not eliminate the rivalries between the two superpowers, the mutual suspicion led them to arm themselves to teeth and constantly prepare for war. Huge stocks of arms were considered necessary to stop war from taking place. इसका मतलब है कि सुपर पावर्स कोल्ड वॉर राइवलरीज यानी कि दुश्मनी को एलिमिनेट यानी कि ख़त्म नहीं करता था कोल्ड वॉर के टाइम पे. इसलिए दोनों सुपर पावर्स को अपनी आर्मीज़ एंड अपनी न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स को मेंटेन करके रखना होता था. उनको बिल्कुल तैयार करके रखना होता था अपनी आर्मीज़ को, बिकॉज उन्हें लगता था कि किसी भी टाइम पर वॉर स्टार्ट हो सकता है. Now, second point, the two sides understood that war might occur in spite of restraints. Either side might miscalculate the number of weapons in possession of the other side. They might misunderstand the intention of the other sides. Besides, what if there is a nuclear accident by mistake, or if a soldier mischievously shot a weapon deliberately to start a war? What if an accident occurred with a nuclear weapon? How would the leader of the other country came to know that it was an accident and not an act of sabotage by the enemy, or that the missile had landed from the other side? इस पूरे पैराग्राफ में सिंपली ये बताया गया है कि अगर बाई चांस एक्सीडेंट से अगर न्यूक्लियर वेपन लॉन्च हो गया दूसरी कंट्री में, यानी कि यूएसएसआर से एक्सीडेंटली सोवियत यूनियन में न्यूक्लियर वेपन लॉन्च हो गया, या किसी ने जानबूझ के कर दिया या फिर बाय मिस्टेक हो गया, तो दूसरी कंट्री को कैसे पता चलेगा कि ये एक्सीडेंट है एंड नॉट एन एक्ट ऑफ सैबोटेज, यानी कि वॉर का बुलावा नहीं है. तो इसकी वजह से उन लोगों ने क्या डिसाइड करा, यूएसए एंड यूएसएसआर ने, इसके बारे में हम आगे पढ़ेंगे. सो इस वाले पॉइंट में सिर्फ ये बताया गया है कि अगर बाय मिस्टेक न्यूक्लियर वेपन लॉन्च हो गया तो क्या होगा. In the time, therefore, USA and USSR decided to collaborate in limiting or eliminating certain kinds of weapons. इसलिए डिसाइड करा USA and USSR ने कोलैबोरेट होकर कि हम थोड़े बहुत अपने न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स को लिमिट करेंगे और एलिमिनेट यानी कि ख़त्म करेंगे. Starting in 1960s, the two sides signed the 3 treaties within a decade. There were Limited Test Ban Treaty, Non-Nuclear Proliferation Treaty, Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. Therefore, the superpowers held several arm limitation talks and signed several more treaties to limit their arms. So इसमें बताया गया कि फिर यूएसए एंड यूएसएसआर ने बहुत सारी ट्रीटीज साइन करी एंड वो ट्रीटीज थी लिमिटेड टेस्ट बैन ट्रीटी, नॉन न्यूक्लियर प्रोलिफरेशन ट्रीटी, एंटी बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल ट्रीटी, अपने आर्म्स को यानी कि अपने वेपन्स को कंट्रोल करने के लिए. सो विद दिस वी कम्प्लीटेड द आंसर नंबर 14 एंड हमारे मोस्ट ऑफ द आंसर्स इसमें कवर हो जाते हैं एनसीईआरटी बैक एक्सरसाइज के भी एंड जितने भी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन आंसर्स थे मैंने इस वीडियो. सो विद दिस वी कम्प्लीटेड द क्वेश्चन आंसर्स ऑफ आवर चैप्टर. एंड वन थिंग आई वुड लाइक टू डिस्कस विद यू दैट इस वीडियो में मैंने सिर्फ रीडिंग करी है आंसर्स की. एंड अगर आपको एक्सप्लेनेशन में कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो, अगर कोई भी आंसर समझ में ना आ रहा हो, तो प्लीज़ चेक आउट माई एक्सप्लेनेशन वीडियो. मैंने बहुत थरोली एक एक टॉपिक को एक्सप्लेन किया है कोल्ड वॉर एरा के चैप्टर की वीडियोज़ में. देयर आर 3 पार्ट्स ऑफ इट. सो प्लीज़ चेक द एक्सप्लेनेशन वीडियोज़. एंड सेकेंडली, अगर आपको ये नोट्स पीडीएफ फॉर्मेट में चाहिए तो प्लीज़ टेल मी इन द कमेंट सेक्शन. एंड इफ़ यू वांट इट इन द हैंड रिटन फॉर्मेट ओनली, then tell me in the comment section that which one you like, PDF format or the handwritten. If you like this video, and please smash the like button if you like the video, and don't forget to share it with your friends. So wait for my next video. In my next video I'll be explaining the chapter 2, end of the bipolarity. Thank you so much for watching my video. Bye bye.